It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 27th day of August, 2020. And it has been, of course, a rather long night for a lot of us that have been up watching the weather and so forth and so on. Before we get to a couple of stories this morning, I do have a couple things to clean up. First of all, most of you know that we are planning on going on a cruise in Europe next year with Pete from over there in London and John from up there in Minnesota. We're going to go attack Europe. But I do want you to know that with that in mind, especially for John and Pete, you need to know the latest in men's swimwear. So you'll be ready for our cruise. And that, of course, is the brokini. That's a brokini, and that's what John and Pete need to wear on our cruise. Now, folks, I have no problem at all, since some of the Scottish ladies are going to be with us on that cruise, about wearing a kilt for Scottish night. But I am not going to be caught dead in a brokini. Ain't going to happen. But anyway, I just thought I'd pass that on. Okay, couple things to cover schedule-wise. Most of you know that it's been a busy week for me, as we've started with our Cruise Amigos Live from Virginia shows. We did a show with Sue Bryant on Tuesday, and yesterday a marvelous show with Rona and Allison on Edinburgh, and it turned out to be just a delightful show, and really enjoyed that. Well, today, Allison Moore will be back with us as we're going to talk about things to see in Dubrovnik, Croatia. And that's the Cruise Amigos Live from Virginia with Allison Moore. That'll be this afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, 8 o'clock London time. And that is, of course, the sort of marriage between Chillie Chats and the Cruise Amigos. So John and Pete, whenever they can, try to join me. The show is actually live from here and supposed to live from London like our Sunday show is. But so far, we've had two really good shows. We've got a couple more scheduled. Tomorrow, we have another one scheduled on the Cruise Amigos show. We have Taylor Dolvin from the Miami Herald. He's a reporter that has been covering a lot about Bahamas Paradise and the lawsuit that has been, I think, is done now. So we'll get a report from him on the lawsuit and what went on with our friends down at Bahamas Paradise and the problems that they had with crew members that filed a suit against them because they weren't getting paid. It's not a good sign. But anyway, we'll get firsthand information on that one tomorrow. That's at 3 o'clock also, Eastern Daylight Time, and 8 o'clock London time. On Sunday, the Cruise Amigos Live from London. The guest will be Ernest Marchand, former star of Starlight Express and currently a cruise director with Azamare Cruise Line. So that's coming ahead on the Cruise Amigos. So, all right, by now everybody is well aware that Hurricane Laura hit last night. It came ashore at 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, 1 o'clock Central Daylight Time this morning at Cameron, Louisiana. It had landfall as a strong Category 4 hurricane. It was a couple mile an hour short of a Category 5. Tremendous heavy rain and wind, 150 mile an hour winds for seemed like forever. The storm is moving north at about 15 miles an hour. It's currently up about Shreveport. It's still hurricane strength. It has just been lowered to a Category 1 with 75 mile an hour winds, but what's that, 200 miles or so inland. So this was just awful. They were calling for deadly storm surge. The storm surge was bad. It was not as bad as they thought. So that probably saved a lot of folks. So far, there's been one fatality reported, but now they're just now into the going in and checking the areas now. So those numbers are probably going to go up, unfortunately. But just a devastating hurricane in Louisiana. Now, what's going to happen with this storm? It's going to go on up. Probably by the time it gets to Little Rock, Arkansas, it will possibly still be at hurricane strength, but more than likely it will have dropped to tropical storm strength. But now that's all the way up to Little Rock, and then it's going to take just almost a direct right-hand turn and go across the tip of Missouri and across Kentucky. They're expecting still tropical force winds and rain throughout Kentucky. And it's supposed to get here to Virginia, and we're supposed to get some rain from it this weekend because obviously by the time it gets here, it's going to have weakened considerably, but it still could bring quite a bit of rain and wind and so forth after it gets through the mountains of West Virginia and gets to me here at the farm in Virginia. So it was bad. It could have been worse because of the storm surge. So that was at least, if there is a good sign of this, is that the storm surge was less than they had originally called for. Might also point out that over there, right off the coast of Africa, is another system to watch. This one, as of this morning, they're still only saying 20% chance of further formation. So that's not a great deal. However, on the Pacific side of things, we have two. And once again, one of them is Hernan. The latest advisory on that is 45 mile an hour winds. It's moving north-northwest at 5 miles an hour. Pressure's 1,001 millibars. So that is Hernan, and it is going to go up and skirt or impact Cabo and the tip of Baja again. This is going to be, 2 weeks in a row now that Cabo has been got hit last week, and now we got another one, which is going to hit the tip of Baja, either just skirt it out to sea or, hit it on the tip. That one is showing where the cone of uncertainty actually covering Cabo. But and it just kind of hooks around and fizzles. Now, the other one that's out there in the Pacific is Iselle. And it basically is, it's heading in a more eastward direction. It's actually northeast right now. It's only at 5 miles an hour, 1,001 millibars, 45-mile-an-hour winds. Zell is moving in the same general direction of where Hernan is, and it's just going to kind of follow around in that same kind of hooking path, almost parallel, and end up about in the same place when they should both fizzle out about the same time, sometime Sunday or Monday, out there off the coast of Baja, some distance out in the water. So anyway, because of Hernan coming close to Baja or on Baja and Cabo again, it bears worth us watching and staying on top of that. So that's endeth the weather for today. Thankfully, of course, the pictures and stuff that came out of New Orleans have been horrible. That was a big motorhome that eventually turned completely over. That's one of the casinos that have just tons of windows blown out. And of course, you got a lot of that with houses flooded and so forth. Some of the pictures that came out after I finished loading stuff for the show today, as they've gotten into more areas, the pictures are just horrible. So lots of damage, lots of problems, and it's going to be for days, as we still have to watch this stupid storm, because it still can cause a lot of damage with heavy rains. They're talking about 4 to 6 inches of rain up through Arkansas or more, and then 4 to 6 inches across Kentucky, in places that have had a ton of rain already this year and are just not going to take it. So a lot of problems ahead. All right, it's somewhat a different kind of story today. This comes out of our friends in Hawaii. 2 Hawaii residents and a visitor were arrested for allegedly violating the 14-day travel quarantine. As far as we know, these are the first arrests in Hawaii made because of the travel quarantine. The Hawaii Department of the Attorney General said a witness reported a visitor posting videos on social media for violating the quarantine. Special agents arrested 23-year-old Julie Abraham of Germany, Maryland, and her Honolulu host, 22-year-old Antoinette Hebron. The Attorney General's office said the pair was arrested after shopping inside a store at a shopping mall. Both Abraham and Hebron were charged with violating emergency rules. Bail has been set at $2,000 each. Law enforcement also arrested Brian Alves, 37, of Aiea, after a witness spotted him at a grocery store Saturday, a day after his arrival on Oahu. Alves was charged with violating the emergency rule and released after posting a $2,000 bond. So these people are pretty serious about their travel restrictions in Hawaii. One story that it doesn't bother me, but it's not quite as what I want to hear, but the FDA has approved a 15-minute test that is going to cost about $5. It can be run without equipment. It's been granted emergency use authorization by the Food and Drug Administration. It runs on a simple card that uses the same technology as the pregnancy test. Now, I've never had to take a pregnancy test, needless to say. But basically, and the problem with this test is that it takes a nasal swab. So you still got to stick that thing up your nose, But then it's put into this card kind of thing, and it's tested, and you get the results immediately. So the company, Bahamas Now, which is a subsidiary of Abbott, said in a press release that it plans to produce 50 million tests per month by October. Due to its simpler design and the large number of tests the company anticipates making in the coming months, the new antigen test is an important advancement in our fight against the pandemic. That part is great, that you can get that kind of quantity, and it doesn't have all this machinery involved. The test can be used in doctors' offices, emergency rooms, and even schools, according to the FDA statement. It runs off a nasal swab. Then the patient's nasal sample gets inserted directly into the Bahamas Now card, and a colored line appears if the test is positive for coronavirus. Bahamas Now works by detecting the small proteins on the surface of the coronavirus rather than the genetic sequences of the virus itself. Tests that look for proteins, called antigen tests, instead of the virus, tend to be less accurate. However, Abbott says this test is running approximately a 97% accuracy. So that's probably some good news, even though it's nasal swab. Now, I don't know if it's the nasal swab that got to stick it through your ear or where, I know I did the throat thing when I had mine, and that was bad enough. Of course, I have a weak gag reflex anyway, but stick something down my throat and it's tough. But anyway, so this is a nasal thing, 15 minutes, and they're going to do 50 million of them a month. That sounds encouraging to me, even though it's nasal swab, which I don't like. So, all right, let's go see who's here today. Gretchen's here. Good morning, Gretchen. Gretchen says enjoyed you, and she enjoyed the Scottish ladies yesterday. Now I thought it was just a terrific show. I'm looking forward to doing Allison today too. Of course, I've been working on getting it set up with the pictures and so forth. She's got some just lovely pictures of Dubrovnik. So it's a little different kind of content on this channel, which I think is terrific. I'm enjoying it. Nikki says, hello, enjoyed the last one and looking forward to Croatia. Thank you very much, Nikki. Glad you were here yesterday. Tom Henry says hi to everybody. Tom, you're going to Florida, I think, aren't you? Emily's here. Good morning, gang, she says. Laura can fill your pool with fresh water. Yeah, but now, see, Tom, my pool is now salt water. So I screwed up. I should have kept the pool fresh water, and then, yeah, I could have filled it up with Laura. Oh, well. Emily, are you ready to try kite surfing? She probably would. Yep. We're going to talk I'm going to talk to Emily about kayaking and paddleboarding. That's going to be one of our shows soon. All right. Emily says, Chillie Falls, I have my annual voting inspector lecture class this evening at City Hall during mask and COVID. Keep you posted to see how it went. Okay. You're going to go deal with politicians. That could be dangerous. I'm kidding. Voting folks are not politicians per se. I just don't like politicians. But anyway, yes, voting people I have tremendous respect for, and I am fully aware that most of them do a terrific, fair, honest job. most. Tom Henry says, I'm surprised you need to talk with your instructors to expand their offerings. Tom, got the lawn weed eaten today and driveway blown clear. All items stowed in the garage for security from the storm. We leave as soon as Chillie gets done and I get a shower. Okay, I'm going to get done quicker rather than later, Tom, so you can get on the road and get moving. And yeah, we'll. You shouldn't have any damage at your place. I know you're escaping it. I don't blame you. I'd want to escape it too if I could. But anyway, Tom's, by the way, is going to Florida to get away from the hurricane. Well, it's not going to be a hurricane by the time it gets to us, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Emily says, I wish they would do jet skiing, ski-doo. That would be awesome. I got on a jet ski once. It was a disaster. But anyway, Emily does it. I enjoy her flailing around on the paddle board and the kayak, and even when she gets dunked in the water, that's terrific. Tom says, I'm going to do jet ski in Great Stirrup Key with no training. I guess they will tell you how to do it when you get there. Well, it's just kind of like, sort of like riding a motorcycle, only on the water, kinda. So if you've ever ridden a motorcycle, Tom, you can actually ride a jet ski fairly easily. It doesn't take as much talent as like paddle boarding. Tom Henry says, add sea salt. Yeah, add sea salt to my pool. That would do it. Yeah, it's really funny. This when you go to a saltwater pool setting, which is new for us this year. I mean, it's got this electronic gizmo in there that constantly tests the water to make sure that the salt level and the natural chlorine level is the right height and all this business. And there's this panel of green lights. And what you do is you have to go in and you look it's inside the pool house where the filter is. You check it every day. As long as the lights are green, man, you're good to go. You don't have to do anything to it. Just go get in the water. It's pretty terrific. We did have a lot of cleaning up to do from that storm that blew through here the other night. We had a lot of leaves and acorns and sticks and crap. So Amanda and I spent several hours yesterday getting the pool cleaned. But we did get in it, and I will be out there today because it's going to be 94 here today. So I am definitely planning on, I don't know, since I'm doing Allison's show this afternoon, if I have time to go out in between shows for a swim, I might have to wait and do it after I do Allison's show. But anyway, I'll definitely be in the pool today. Jason says for Tom to have a great time in Florida. We all wish that, Tom. I have a wonderful time. Check engine light came on Monday. The check gas cap light was on a few days, and I had a new cap ordered last week. It arrived on Monday. My check engine light stays on all the time. And they've checked and checked and checked and said, I can't find anything wrong with it. It runs fine. It's got good gas mileage. It's the check engine light's on. So I checked the engine. As long as the engine's in the car, I did what the car told me to do. I checked the engine. Safe travel. Everybody's wishing Tom safe travel. Tom, yes, have a good time. Hopefully you get to see a blast off while you're there. That would be terrific. And, you know, as always, we need lots of pictures and videos and that kind of thing. Let me know if you want to do something silly, crazy live stream while you're there. You know me, I'm always willing to do that. So anyway, that's it for today, guys. I'll be back, of course, Saturday morning. Thankfully, it looks like, I mean, while there's still a lot of back end stuff from the hurricane, that pretty much is going to be heading on down the road now, even though it's heading toward me. But we'll thankfully be pretty much done with that one. And of course, we got to continue watching all this stuff. And now we got to watch Cabo again to make sure it doesn't get blown away. But anyway, we'll stay on top of that. And I'll, of course, break in if there's any major news items between now and Saturday morning. If not, I will see you guys on Saturday. And as always, stay safe, wear your mask, stay at home if you can, socially distance if you have to be out, and have a great day. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Later, guys.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.